Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on A Dog Called Hope, A Wounded Warrior and the Service Dog Who Saved Him by Jason Morgan and Damien Lewis. Jason served in the Air Force and then served in the Army's 160th Airborne, which is also called the Night Stalkers. The Night Stalkers were a support unit for Rangers and people like that, and they also specialized in operations that happened at night, thus Night Stalkers. And the other author, Damien Lewis, is a UK writer that specializes in military stories, and he's actually written quite a few of those, and he's also written stories about military personnel and their dogs. I think one of them is called like Sergeant Rex or something like that. And this book, though, is about Jason Morgan, who was injured while in Central America on a mission. He wakes up months later in a US hospital not remembering anything that happened, and he's told that he will never be able to walk again. His immediate reaction is to respond with, "Yes, I will," and then he has multiple surgeries and he's trying really hard to be able to walk again. But he also suffers from chronic pain, like a lot of chronic pain, and it starts to really affect his life in a negative way. And so it's about him dealing with not being able to walk and that chronic pain, as well as adjusting to a civilian life. But also follows a dog named Napal, who is being trained as a service dog. He's actually in the CCI training system, which that stands for Canine Companion for Independence. And it follows his process through that with his puppy raiser, and then once he ends up meeting up with Jason. And then for the rest of the book, it's Jason and Napal's life together. This book is actually blurbed by Bear Grylls, which I just thought was hilarious. As usual with my book reviews, I'm going to go through my pros, go through my cons, give you my rating, and be done. My first pro for this book was that I really enjoyed learning about Jason's experience in the military, which I didn't know that I was going to because I've never really been that interested in the military. So hearing his experiences in the Air Force and then joining the Army were fascinating to me. And then I actually was talking to someone that I know that served as an Army Ranger, so he was talking about his experience interacting with the Night Stalkers and how they helped them out a lot and how great they are. So it just added that much more to this story. You might be wondering why it's called A Dog Called Hope when the dog's name is Napal and not Hope, which is what I assumed before I read it. But hope is a big theme in this book, and keeping hope and not letting depression win, or that really desolate feeling after your life changes forever. And something consistent throughout the book is that you need to allow hope into your life and allow it to create good in your life. Obviously, I really enjoyed reading about Napal as well. I had never heard of the CCI before. I knew that service dogs were a thing. I just didn't know the process really that they go through. And I also didn't know how widespread it was and how many people don't actually know about it. There are so many people that could have Canine Companion for Independence dogs that will help them with their everyday life, but they just don't know that they actually qualify for that. And so it goes into great depth about the qualification process and getting paired with your dog and the commands and everything like that. I really enjoyed learning about those things. And Jason and Napal's story really affected so many people's lives and really let a ton of people know about service dogs and what they can do for them. The story is obviously not always happy, with Jason struggling with chronic pain and physical injuries. So I really appreciated that he didn't steer clear of those things. He really let us know how he was feeling throughout the different stages of his recovery slash just adjustment periods. With all the highs, he really goes into the lows as well, and as a reader, I really liked seeing all of those different levels of struggle and seeing him overcome those things. Another thing I really liked was that because he's in chronic pain, he's a very unhappy person for a lot of this book. And in the blurb, it's not really a spoiler, but it doesn't happen until a little bit later, but his wife ends up leaving him with his 3 young children. And I really appreciated that he didn't villainize his ex-wife, which would be really easy for him to do because he was in a wheelchair with chronic pain and 3 boys under the age of 8, and then his wife leaves him. But he doesn't just put the blame on her. He took the very mature route, I guess, is what I'm saying in this book. Once Jason and Napal unite, I really like that it focused on their relationship and what they did together. I've read some other books where it's about an owner and their dog, and it really takes some right turns and just talks about the owner for a while, and then it comes back to the dog. And this one didn't really do that. It really focused in on Jason and Napal together, and it would mention every once in a while what Jason was doing on the side, but it was a one-off sentence or something like that, and then it was back to just Jason and Napal. And lastly, I was just super invested in this story, and I think it's impossible not to once you hear about Napal and all of the people that he touched and all of the lives that he made better just by being himself and being really one of the best dogs I've ever even heard about. Anyone that met Napal instantly fell in love with him, even people that don't even like dogs. So I just really got invested in Napal and Jason and their work together and all of that. I was in it. Now I'm going to talk about some of my cons. My first con was that it took me a while to get invested in this story. I did end up getting really invested, don't get me wrong, but it took me 8 chapters before I started to feel invested in Jason and feel invested in Napal. And I think that's because for the first 8 chapters of the story, it's written in third person, so you don't feel as personally connected to his story. You just are kind of seeing it happen from the outside. But then in chapter 9, it starts off with first person because that's when Jason actually remembers things that happened, and that allowed me to get into his headspace a little bit more and get invested a little bit more. So it did take me around 70 pages before I was completely in it. The only other con that I had for this book is that I hate it when the people that format the book put all the pictures in one section. This is it. All the pictures are right here, and the experiences that the pictures portray are spread throughout the entire book. So if you actually read the captions to the pictures, you get spoiled for things that are coming later in the book, and you're not as affected by them when they come. The moments are a little bit ruined because you already know that they're coming. And so if you're going to read this book, which I hope you do, I would suggest skipping the pictures and then going back to them after you finish the complete novel and then looking at the pictures, so that those moments are really special and affect you in the way that they're supposed to, and then you can go back and see the pictures. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars because I loved it that much, and I hope you guys will check it out. So that's going to be my review on A Dog Called Hope by Jason Morgan and Damien Lewis. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you're going to check this book out. Have you read it already? What were your thoughts on it? Have you read books that are similar to this that you would suggest to me? Because after reading that one, I just want more. And anything else you want me to know, leave it down below, and I will talk to you guys next time.